Have you ever felt the sheer panic of your mind going completely blank mid-conversation? That terrifying instant where you know the answer, but your brain offers nothing but static? If you have, you are in the right place, and you are not alone. Welcome everyone to Lexicon Lab, the podcast where we dismantle the barriers to fluent and confident English communication. I am Sasha.
And I'm Sam. It's fantastic to be here with you all today. Sasha, that introduction hits home so hard. I was just recalling a moment earlier this week where I was completely caught off guard by a simple question from a neighbor. I knew what I wanted to say, but my thoughts became tangled and I ended up muttering a half-formed response that didn't reflect my actual knowledge or personality. It was a frustrating experience that stayed with me for the rest of the day.
I think we've all had those days, Sam. That specific brand of frustration is actually what motivated our extensive discussion for today's episode. We are going to embark on a deep exploration of how to cultivate rapid, agile thinking in English. This is not about speaking faster. It is about training your brain to access and articulate its knowledge with seamless efficiency and unwavering confidence, turning those moments of panic into moments of poise.
That's exactly right. The ability to think on your feet is a cornerstone of effective interaction, whether you're in a professional meeting, a social gathering, or a casual chat. And the wonderful, empowering truth is that this is not an innate talent. It is a skill, a mental muscle that can be developed, strengthened, and refined through deliberate practice and the right strategic approach. We are going to provide you with that very blueprint.
And to ensure that this isn't just a theoretical exercise, we have created a comprehensive guide for you. This is a detailed PDF resource completely free that is packed with practical exercises designed to train your brain for quick thinking. It includes key takeaways from our discussion, profound comprehension questions to test and deepen your understanding, and targeted grammar exercises to build a robust foundation for your English confidence.
Furthermore, throughout our conversation today, we will be intentionally weaving in a selection of highly useful intermediate-level words and phrases. These are the linguistic tools that will help you sound more natural and articulate. Later, in a special segment, we will break down each of these terms, examining their precise meanings and demonstrating how to use them effectively in your own everyday conversations.
So prepare to dive deep with us. We are going to uncover the psychology behind why our minds freeze, identify the common obstacles that hinder our response time, and, most importantly, we will equip you with a powerful set of actionable strategies to overcome them all. This is your first step toward transforming your conversational agility forever. Now, Sam, let's begin our deep dive by establishing a fundamental understanding. Why is this ability to think quickly so critically important in our daily communication? It's a concept we often take for granted until we find ourselves lacking it in a crucial moment.
That is an excellent starting point, Sasha. Imagine this scenario. You're in a job interview you have prepared for extensively. The interviewer looks you in the eye and asks, "Can you describe a time you failed and what you learned from it?" You have a perfect, powerful story in your arsenal, but under the pressure of the moment, your mind simply seizes up. Instead of delivering a compelling narrative that showcases your resilience, you hesitate, uttering fragmented phrases like, that's a good question. Well, that momentary lapse, that visible struggle, can unfortunately create a perception of being unprepared or lacking confidence, even if you are the most qualified candidate in the room.
That example is perfectly illustrative, Sam. Quick thinking is not merely about filling silence. It is intrinsically linked to the projection of competence and self-assurance. Numerous psychological studies have consistently shown that individuals who respond promptly and coherently in conversations are automatically perceived by others as more confident, more knowledgeable, and more trustworthy. This perception holds immense power, whether you're in a negotiation, leading a team meeting, or simply trying to build rapport with new acquaintances. The ability to articulate your thoughts fluidly in real time dramatically amplifies your personal and professional influence.
Absolutely.
In fact, research published in the Harvard Business Review has drawn a direct correlation between spoken fluency and perceived credibility. The study indicated that leaders and individuals who communicate their ideas with clarity and assuredness, without excessive hesitation, are far more likely to gain buy-in for their ideas and inspire trust in their teams. This isn't about manipulative tactics. It is about ensuring your true capabilities are accurately represented through your communication.
And this brings us to a vital distinction that we must clarify immediately. There is a widespread misconception that thinking fast is synonymous with speaking rapidly. Many people operate under the false belief that if they can talk at a machine gun pace, they will sound more intelligent or more in command.
Which is, of course, a dangerous fallacy. In reality, speaking too quickly often leads to muddled articulation, jumbled thoughts, and decreased comprehension for the listener. True quick thinking is not about the speed of your words, but about the agility of your mind. It is the efficient process of accessing your knowledge, structuring your thoughts, and delivering them with purposeful clarity. The focus should always be on coherence and impact, not on sheer velocity.
I love the way you frame that, Sam. It reminds me of a useful metaphor. Think of it like driving to a destination. You don't necessarily need to be the fastest driver on the road to arrive quickly and safely. What you truly need is a clear understanding of the route, an ability to navigate obstacles, and steady control of your vehicle. Similarly, in conversation, speaking clearly and with a well-structured thought process will always get your point across more effectively than frantic, rushed speech that sacrifices understanding for speed.
That is a perfect analogy. And just like becoming a skilled driver, building conversational fluency does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process of training and familiarization. Think about learning to play a musical instrument or mastering a new sport. The initial movements are slow, awkward, and require conscious effort. But with consistent, deliberate practice, those neural pathways are strengthened, and the actions become fluid, automatic, and swift. Your brain, when trained, learns to retrieve words and structure sentences with remarkable efficiency. So, if cultivating this skill of quick thinking is so fundamentally important for our communicative success, we must first ask ourselves, what are the specific forces that work against us? What are the internal mechanisms that slow down our mental processes and cause that frustrating hesitation in conversations?
That is the crucial question we need to answer. Let's systematically break down the primary challenges. The first, and perhaps most common obstacle, is the habit of overthinking. Imagine you are composing a text message to a friend. You type a sentence, then you delete it. You rephrase it, then you second-guess the wording. You do this 3 or 4 times before finally hitting send. This is exactly what happens internally for many people during real-time spoken conversations. They are attempting to construct the perfectly grammatical, impeccably phrased sentence in their mind before allowing themselves to speak a single word. This pursuit of perfection creates immense pressure and a significant time lag, often causing the conversational moment to pass them by entirely.
That is such a relatable example, Sasha. I recall when I was in the earlier stages of learning Spanish, I would constantly hesitate because I was terrified of making a grammatical error or mispronouncing a word. This leads us directly into the second major challenge, the fear of making mistakes. This fear can be utterly paralyzing. We become so concerned with the potential for embarrassment, with the idea of sounding foolish or uneducated, that we prefer silence over the risk of an imperfect utterance. But the absolute truth which we must all embrace is that making mistakes is a non-negotiable and valuable part of the learning process. Every error is a stepping stone to greater accuracy and fluency.
You are absolutely right, Sam. The third challenge we face is what we commonly refer to as a mental block. This is that bewildering phenomenon where, despite having the knowledge, your brain temporarily refuses to access it. It is akin to when someone asks you, "What is your favorite book?" or "What is a movie you recently enjoyed?" You have consumed hundreds of books and films, you have clear favorites, but in that specific moment, under that slight pressure, your memory offers nothing but a vast, empty landscape. It is not that you don't know, it is that the pathway to the information has been momentarily blocked.
And finally, for a great many of our listeners, there is the additional and very tangible challenge of the language barrier. When English is not your first language, there is an extra layer of cognitive processing involved. You might know the concept you wish to express in your native tongue, but then you must translate it, find the appropriate English vocabulary, and arrange it according to English grammatical rules. This multi-step process, however swift, inevitably takes time and can create a discernible gap between thought and speech, which many mistakenly interpret as a personal failure rather than a natural cognitive load.
Those four obstacles, overthinking, fear of mistakes, mental blocks, and the language barrier, form the primary battlefield where our quick thinking is challenged. The wonderful news, which we will now focus on, is that for each of these challenges, there are powerful, effective, and practical strategies we can employ to overcome them.
So, having identified these formidable adversaries to our conversational fluency, let us now turn our attention to the solutions. The first strategy we will explore is foundational, because without it, all other techniques become difficult to apply. This is the practice of staying calm under pressure. It is huge because when anxiety and nervousness take over, our nervous system can initiate a fight or flight response. This physiological reaction, while useful in genuine danger, is counterproductive in conversation, as it diverts vital energy and oxygen away from our prefrontal cortex, the brain's center for higher-order thinking and reasoning, making clear, logical thought remarkably difficult.
That is so true, Sam. It is exactly like watching a contestant on a quiz show who knows the correct answer. The bright lights, the audience, the timer, the pressure becomes overwhelming, and they end up blurting out something completely incorrect. The knowledge was there, but the access to it was compromised by stress. I remember this happening to me during a pivotal presentation early in my career. I was so consumed by the fear of stumbling over my words that my mind, as if on cue, went completely blank. I could hear the deafening sound of my own heartbeat in my ears, and all the insightful points I had meticulously prepared simply vanished from my consciousness.
Oh no, Sasha, that sounds like a terribly stressful experience. So what did you do in that moment? How did you navigate your way out of that mental block?
I relied on a very simple yet profoundly effective physiological tool. I took a deep, deliberate breath. It sounds almost too basic to be effective, but I assure you it is powerful. By pausing for just a second and focusing on that slow inhalation and exhalation, I was able to send a signal to my brain that I was not, in fact, in mortal danger. This conscious act helped to reset my cognitive functions. Instead of continuing to panic, I began speaking at a slower pace, focusing solely on one key point at a time. The fluency gradually returned as the calm did.
That is an invaluable tip, Sasha. When we consciously calm our physiological state, we directly enable our brains to function at their normal capacity. A slow, deliberate breath before responding acts as a circuit breaker for the panic cycle. It creates a crucial pocket of space between the stimulus, the question, and your response. This space is where clarity is born. Now, let's move to the second strategy, which is all about proactive preparation. This is the art of anticipating responses.
Yes, this strategy is about shifting from a reactive mindset to a proactive one. Think of it like the game of chess. A novice player simply reacts to their opponent's last move. A seasoned grandmaster, however, is always thinking several moves ahead, predicting potential sequences and having responses ready. We can apply this very principle to our daily interactions.
I love that comparison to chess, Sasha. It perfectly captures the strategic mindset. And the beautiful thing is, we already use this skill of anticipation instinctively in many mundane situations. For example, when you walk into your favorite coffee shop, you already have a script in your mind.
You know the cashier is going to ask, "What can I get for you today?" That predictability is why you never freeze in that scenario. Your brain has already preloaded a response. The goal is to consciously extend this same principle to more complex and unpredictable conversations.
Exactly, Sam. The trick is to apply this proactive anticipation systematically. If you are preparing for a job interview, you don't just show up hoping for the best. You diligently research the company, you reflect on your own experiences, and you brainstorm the most likely questions. You formulate and even practice rough outlines of your answers. This preparation isn't about memorizing a rigid script, it's about building a mental library of key points in stories that you can readily draw upon, which dramatically reduces the cognitive load in the moment.
That's such a critical point. This approach is not about creating robotic, pre-programmed responses. It is about building a framework of familiarity that liberates you to be more present and spontaneous within that framework. And this doesn't only apply to formal settings like interviews. You can use it in everyday social interactions as well. If you are going to a party where you might meet new people, you can prepare a few casual, open-ended questions or have a couple of interesting anecdotes about your week ready to share. This preparatory work acts as a social safety net.
Precisely. The more you anticipate the possible directions a conversation could take, the less likely you are to be caught completely off guard. It empowers you. However, even with the most thorough preparation, there will always be unexpected questions or moments that require a second of genuine thought. This is where our next technique becomes an absolute game changer: the strategic use of time fillers.
Oh, this is a vital tool for quick thinking. You know that moment when someone poses a complex question and your brain genuinely needs a few seconds to access the information and formulate a coherent response? Instead of letting an awkward silence grow, which can amplify your own anxiety, you can employ these brief conversational phrases, saying something like, "That's a fascinating question," or "Let me think about that for a second," serves a dual purpose. It acknowledges the speaker, and, most importantly, it buys your brain those precious few seconds it needs to load the appropriate response.
I use this technique constantly, Sam. For instance, if I momentarily forget a colleague's name upon seeing them, instead of panicking, I might say, "It's so great to see you. How have you been since our project meeting?" While I'm saying that, my mind is actively searching for the name. The social interaction continues smoothly and the pressure is off. These fillers are like a buffer for your cognition.
Those are excellent examples. Other versatile time fillers include phrases like, "Well, that's a complex issue," or "I see what you're getting at." The key is to deliver them naturally, as a seamless part of the conversation. If you suddenly go completely silent for too long, it can break the flow and draw attention to your struggle. But with these subtle verbal bridges, you maintain the rhythm of the dialogue while giving yourself the mental space you require.
It's a simple yet profoundly effective social lubricant. And this leads us perfectly into another powerful related strategy, which is the art of paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is, without a doubt, one of my most relied upon techniques for maintaining conversational flow and buying critical thinking time. In its essence, paraphrasing is the act of restating or rephrasing what the other person has just said in your own words. This simple act serves multiple powerful functions simultaneously.
It truly is a multifaceted tool. Let's illustrate it with a clear example. Imagine a colleague turns to you and asks, "What's your initial assessment of the new marketing strategy?" Instead of feeling the pressure to immediately deliver a polished, comprehensive analysis, you can employ paraphrasing. You might respond with, "So, you're asking for my early impressions of the proposed marketing plan." This momentary repetition does several things. First, it confirms your understanding of the question, ensuring you are both on the same page. Second, and most importantly for quick thinking, it grants you a vital few seconds to organize your initial thoughts before you begin your substantive response.
That's a perfect breakdown. I use this method frequently when someone asks for my opinion on a complex or multifaceted topic. Instead of diving in headfirst without a plan, I restate the core of their query. This acts as a cognitive buffer, allowing my brain to access relevant information and structure a coherent answer. It transforms a potentially stressful demand for an instant opinion into a managed, thoughtful exchange.
And its utility extends beyond just buying time. In difficult or emotionally charged conversations, paraphrasing becomes an invaluable tool for ensuring clarity and demonstrating empathy. If someone expresses a concern in a way that is slightly ambiguous or emotionally laden, responding with, "If I'm understanding you correctly, you feel that the timeline is creating unnecessary pressure," does wonders. It allows you to process the underlying meaning of their words thoroughly before you craft your response, and it shows the speaker that you are genuinely listening and seeking to understand their perspective.
Exactly. It turns a potential confrontation into a collaboration. It's a win-win scenario. You get the cognitive space you need to think, and the other person feels heard and valued. Now, let's transition to a strategy that fundamentally changes how we approach sentence formation during spontaneous speech. This is the concept of thinking in simple, robust structures.
This is a critical mindset shift for so many people. A significant source of hesitation comes from the internal attempt to construct long, complex, and perfectly elegant sentences in one's mind before speaking. This self-imposed perfection for fluency is a major fluency blocker. The liberating truth is that in effective communication, clarity and simplicity consistently triumph over complexity and ornamentation.
100%. Imagine you need to explain a sophisticated concept to a young child. You would instinctively avoid jargon and convoluted phrasing. You would break the idea down into its most fundamental components and express them using short, direct, and clear sentences. That is precisely the mindset we must adopt in our everyday conversations to enhance our speed and clarity.
And the remarkable thing is, people universally appreciate and respect clarity. If you structure your thoughts using simple frameworks, such as starting with "I believe that," followed by the core reason, or "in my experience," followed by a brief example, you make your ideas significantly easier for others to follow and digest. This structured approach removes the immense pressure of having to be spontaneously eloquent.
It absolutely does. You liberate yourself from the need to sound like a university professor delivering a lecture. Your primary goal is to transmit your idea from your mind to the listener's mind as efficiently as possible. Focusing on simple subject-verb-object structures and clear connecting words is far more effective than struggling to form a poetic but mentally taxing complex sentence. This approach is a cornerstone of thinking on your feet. Thinking in simple structures is a transformative habit that reduces the mental burden significantly. Now, let's explore a strategy that is perhaps the most fundamental, yet most frequently overlooked component of smooth conversation: the practice of active listening. Many people operate under the misconception that quick thinking is solely about the output, the speed of their speech. In reality, the quality and speed of your output are profoundly dependent on the quality of your input. Active listening is the superpower that fuels agile responses. You've hit on a crucial point, Sam. So many of us are physically hearing the words someone is saying, but our minds are elsewhere. Often, we are already formulating our own response while the other person is still talking. This divided attention means we only catch fragments of what is being said, and we miss critical nuances, keywords, and emotional tone. When it's our turn to speak, we have to build a response on an incomplete foundation, which inevitably leads to hesitation and generic replies. True active listening requires our full, undivided presence in the conversation.
Exactly. When you truly listen, you are not just waiting for your turn to talk. You are fully engaged in processing the speaker's words. You are picking up on specific keywords that you can latch on to. You are noticing their tone of voice. Is it excited, concerned, skeptical? You're observing their body language. all of this rich data gives your brain a tremendous amount of contextual information to work with. This context makes processing the conversation's meaning and predicting its direction infinitely easier and faster for your brain.
I often liken it to watching a film with subtitles. If you miss a line of dialogue, the subtitles are there to instantly catch you up and keep you immersed in the story. But if you look away from the screen and miss both the audio and the visual cues, you become lost and disconnected from the narrative. Active listening is your conversational subtitle track. It keeps you perfectly synced with the flow of the discussion, preventing you from getting lost.
That is a brilliant analogy, Sasha. Furthermore, when you are actively listening, you don't need to generate your next comment from a vacuum. The conversation itself provides the raw material. Your response can naturally build upon, question, or reflect what the other person has just said. This creates a seamless and connected dialogue. Instead of stressing about inventing something entirely new to say, you can simply react authentically and thoughtfully to the ideas that are already on the table. This removes a massive amount of pressure.
It fundamentally shifts the dynamic from a performance, where you are trying to impress, to a collaboration, where you are building understanding together. This collaborative mindset is far less stressful and far more conducive to fluid thinking. And this principle of building upon what is given leads us directly into our final and most dynamic strategy, the practice of improvisation. Improvisation, or improv, is the ultimate training ground for quick thinking. It is the art of creating and responding in the moment, without a script and without the safety net of pre-planned lines. The core principle of improv is to accept what is given and build upon it, which is exactly the skill we use in fluid conversations. Practicing improv techniques rewires your brain to thrive on spontaneity rather than fear it.
That's the perfect way to frame it, Sasha. It's like a mental workout that strengthens your cognitive reflexes. And the best part is that you can practice this alone or with a partner through simple, fun exercises. One of the most effective and straightforward methods is the classic game of word association. It forces your brain to make connections without any filtering or second guessing. For example, if I say the word forest, you might immediately say trees.
And if I say computer, you could say screen.
Exactly. There is no time to ponder the perfect or most intelligent response. The goal is to react instinctively. This practice trains the neural pathways between hearing a word and producing a related one to become lightning fast, which directly translates to faster responses in dialogue.
It's a fantastic drill. Another powerful exercise is impromptu storytelling. This involves giving yourself a random word or phrase like the lost key or a rainy Tuesday, and then challenging yourself to tell a coherent short story about it for 30 or 60 seconds without any pauses. The rule is you must keep speaking even if you feel you are meandering. This forces your brain to access vocabulary, structure narratives, and generate ideas under time pressure, which is the essence of thinking on your feet.
I love that exercise because it simultaneously builds vocabulary, grammatical fluency, and creative thinking. The stories don't need to be masterpieces. The value is in the continuous act of creation. Another excellent improv game for two people is the one-sentence story. You start a story with one sentence, and then I add the next sentence, and we continue building it one line at a time. This not only practices quick thinking, but also reinforces that crucial skill of active listening, as each of us must accept and build upon what the other has just established.
These practices are so effective because they make the process enjoyable. When you are playing a game, the pressure to be perfect diminishes, and your natural language abilities begin to surface. The more you engage in these low-stakes, high-engagement exercises, the more you cultivate a mindset of flexibility and resilience. You learn that you can always find something to say, and that even an imperfect contribution can keep the conversation moving forward in a positive direction.
And that is the ultimate goal. Quick thinking is not about never making a mistake. It's about developing the confidence and the skill to recover gracefully and continue the dialogue with poise. These improv exercises build that exact kind of durable confidence.
We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, from the psychological foundations of staying calm to the practical mechanics of improvisation. These strategies form a comprehensive toolkit for anyone looking to enhance their conversational agility. But knowledge alone is not power. It is the application of that knowledge that creates true transformation. To aid in that application, we now want to shift our focus to the very building blocks of our expression, our vocabulary.
That's a perfect segue, Sasha. Expanding your lexicon is a powerful force multiplier for all the techniques we've discussed. When you have a richer vocabulary at your disposal, you spend less time searching for the right word and more time articulating your thoughts with precision and impact. To that end, we are now going to introduce a set of intermediate-level words and phrases carefully selected from our discussion today. Understanding and using these terms will significantly elevate the clarity and sophistication of your communication.
Let's begin. Our first word is perceived. This verb refers to how something is seen, understood, or interpreted by someone. It's not necessarily about the truth of a situation, but about how it is viewed. For example, in our discussion, we mentioned that individuals who respond quickly are often perceived as more confident.
Next, we have fluency. This noun describes the quality of being able to speak or write a language smoothly, easily, and rapidly. We strive not just for grammatical accuracy, but for overall fluency in English, which allows ideas to flow without constant hesitation.
Another key term is coherent. This adjective means logical, consistent, and forming a unified whole. A coherent argument is one where all the points connect logically and are easy to follow. Our goal is always to express coherent thoughts.
Let's look at cognitive. This is an adjective relating to conscious intellectual activity, such as thinking, reasoning, or remembering. We talked about the cognitive load involved in translating thoughts from one's native language, which is a significant mental process.
The word proactive is essential. It is an adjective describing someone who creates or controls a situation by causing something to happen rather than responding to it after it has happened. Proactive anticipation of questions is a key strategy for quick thinking.
We also used the phrase mental block. This noun phrase describes a temporary inability to remember something or to perform a mental task. Many people experience a mental block when asked to name their favorite movie on the spot.
The term improv, short for improvisation, is a noun, meaning the act of creating or performing something spontaneously without preparation. Practicing improv games is a fantastic way to train your brain for conversation.
Another useful word is articulate. As a verb, it means to express an idea or feeling fluently and coherently. It is our ultimate goal to articulate our thoughts clearly and effectively.
We have paradigm. This noun signifies a typical example, pattern, or model of something. Shifting from a reactive to a proactive mindset represents a fundamental paradigm shift in how we approach conversations.
And finally, let's consider nuance. This noun refers to a subtle difference in or shade of meaning, expression, or sound. Understanding the cultural nuance of a word can be as important as knowing its dictionary definition.
Thank you for that detailed breakdown, Sam. These words are the very tools that will help our listeners articulate their thoughts with greater precision. Remember, integrating such terms into your active vocabulary is a powerful step towards sounding more natural and confident. But this is just the beginning. True mastery comes from consistent application.
Absolutely, Sasha. We encourage you to take these 10 words, perceived,
fluency, coherent, cognitive, proactive, mental block, improv, articulate, paradigm, nuance, and actively use them this week. Try to incorporate them into your journal entries, your conversations, or even your internal monologues. This active practice moves words from a passive understanding to an active command, which is essential for quick thinking.
And with that, we begin to bring our masterclass on quick thinking to a close. We have journeyed through the reasons why our minds sometimes hesitate, we have identified the common obstacles, and we have equipped ourselves with a powerful set of strategies to overcome them. From the foundational practice of staying calm and using the power of breath, to the proactive work of anticipating responses and the clever use of time fillers and paraphrasing.
We also reframed how we structure our thoughts, embracing simplicity and clarity over complexity. We underscored the immense power of active listening as the fuel for relevant responses, and we finished with the dynamic, game-like practice of improvisation to sharpen our mental reflexes. This is a complete framework for building conversational agility.
It is vital to remember that quick thinking is not about achieving a state of perfection where you never hesitate again. That is an unrealistic and counterproductive goal. It is about progress. It is about being prepared, feeling more confident in your ability to handle the unexpected, and knowing that you have the tools to navigate any conversational turn with greater ease and self-assurance.
So keep practicing these techniques. Use the companion guide we've provided for your exercises. Revisit these concepts and be patient and compassionate with yourself throughout the process. Every conversation is a new opportunity to practice, to learn, and to leap forward in your English communication journey.
We are so grateful you joined us for this deep dive. Keep practicing, keep learning, and remember, every word you speak is a step toward greater fluency and confidence. We look forward to continuing this journey with you next time. Until then, keep thinking and talking smart.
Goodbye for now.